Hey, mindful partners, are you settling into the new year? Are the distractions creeping in yet? And that euphoria from positive thinking and affirmations, how's that holding up? Most importantly, how are you supporting yourself as life happens? If you do not have a system in place to support yourself, take this moment as your permission to craft one right now. It's never too late to create a structure that serves you. Now, let's dive into this week's conversation. I sat down with Ayo Daniels, the author of Beyond Romance. As you know, one of the main pillars of Mindfully with Tumshe is healthy relationships. So, when I read Beyond Romance, I knew it was imperative for me to sit with Ayo Daniels to tap into his wells of knowledge about relationships and family. Enjoy the sourceful and inspiring conversation with Ayo Daniels, a relationship counselor, an author, and a pastor. Hi, mindful partners, and welcome to another episode of Mindful to Me Shade, the podcast. Today is a full circle moment for me, and I'm so glad that is the first recording for 2025, and I have this amazing soul in the studio. We call him PAD, but for the sake of this conversation, we're going to call him Ayo Daniels. How are you?
I think I'm good.
You think? All right. What makes you think you're good?
Well, at least I feel good.
Okay, good.
So I think I'm good this
Okay.
morning. And I have a cup of coffee,
Yeah.
courtesy of Tumishi.
Anything for you? What we're here because we try to demystify the conversations around mental health. And people think that when you talk mental health, you're talking about people who are sick in the head. But we're really talking about the thoughts in your head, the emotions that pop up in your heart, and if they are in tandem with the behavioral patterns that you see, if they feed you. And because of that, we are doing a book review and a conversation. Ayo Daniels is a pastor, a counselor, um, but first, let me ask you. Let me not say what I think I know. If you, if you were going to describe Ayo Daniels, what would you be saying?
Well, I think this guy, Ayodane, is unassuming. He's thoughtful. Likes to explore new places. He likes to travel, explore new menus, meet people. Even though a lot of people don't know that, really love to meet people.
Really?
Yeah, I love to meet people. I'm getting the introvert out of me, so
Because I was going to say like you love to meet people. Okay, but since you have said getting that introverted part out of you, though, you need to teach me, because it's
well, I can, but maybe I will ask you for your age before I teach you.
fair.
No, don't worry, don't
Fair
worry.
enough.
Because
Fair
some
enough.
things that you have to be deliberate when you cross certain age. Maybe because of my role, the things that I do on a daily basis, that I have to talk to people. So that's what is basically bringing the introvert out of me.
Amen. So I know that when people hear that I'm introverted, they're usually shocked. You know that, Wale, when people, but like you said, the job and the person, two different people. Okay, so let's get this conversation started. Beyond romance. I know that you are a relationship expert, and you might not even remember this before we get into the book. Back in 2020, 2000.
Wow. The year of our Lord.
The year of our Lord. Back in 2000, I was in a very, very dark place, and you had given this message back then in the church that we both attended. And I think it was on a Tuesday I came to your office. You had given me a book about counseling, and you said, okay, I think, and I don't even know why you gave me that book, but Sha gave me the book. But I then we were talking about relationships, and I said to you that I don't know if you remember, but I said to you, Pastor, I don't want to marry. I don't want to marry. I just want to have two children and just be, but I don't want to marry. And I remember you saying to me, okay, give me 3 days to Michelle. I'm not asking you to fast. Just go 3 days, go pray. If after the 3 days you still don't feel like you should get married, I'm not going to say anything. Do you remember that conversation?
Well, I'm trying to fix that. You know why? I have had series of such conversations. At least yours is 2000, but in the last 10 years, I can categorically say every other week I meet people who wants me to define marriage for them. They don't want to get married. But such people are married today and they have kids. So it's like the law that reoccur each time when I'm confronted with relationship matter. But I think I can remember now that we had a conversation, and because what usually happens is when I have such conversations with people, I look inward. So books to recommend is usually what comes out of delicate conversations
Conversations like
me.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't. It's funny. The funny thing is, you didn't even recommend a book to me. You just said, "Go pray," and I'm like, I don't want to pray, but thankfully I went to pray, and though you didn't say I should fast, I did fast, and well, 18 years down the line, the rest is
yeah. At least we have two nations here. And we realized that it wasn't a supernatural visitation from anywhere.
No, I don't want.
Mr. Cuckoo came into the picture.
No, I do not want to burst. I do not want to burst the Antichrist. Okay, so Beyond Romance is the title of this book, and we look at the story of Alex and Sharon. But before we get to the story of Alex and Sharon, I noticed that the very first chapter of this book is knowing who you are. Isn't it amazing that your book and Living Mindfully, my book, started with the same question?
Wow.
Knowing who you are. Who are you was the first question I asked, and then you are saying now that a person who wants to go into any relationship should know who they are. What is the story behind that? Hey there. Are you ready to start living mindfully and gain clarity in your life? I welcome you to Black Images. This is a lifestyle spa that works to cater to every facet of your daily living, aligning this to the purpose of nurturing health, harmony, and spiritual growth with experiential education in holistic living. How to be part of this community? Very simple. You can start with listening to Mindfully with Timisheta podcast. Check out Living Mindfully, a journey to being in, a book that would help you to live mindfully and support your meditation practice. And join our Journey to Clarity package and work with our coach to identify thought patterns that sidetrack you and create solid action plans to empower you to get back on track. At Black Images, we're passionate about mental health awareness and supporting your journey to clarity and self-discovery. Join our community today and start living mindfully.
Well, I think, okay, let me first say thank you for this privilege to do this with you this morning. or this afternoon or this evening, wherever someone is watching it from.
Fair, fair.
But the truth is that this book has been something I've carried for over 20 years, I would say 2 decades. And it's a book out of my personal experience, experiences with people, relationship that work, the ones that didn't work. So out of that experience came the story of Alex and Sharon.
And Sharon, yeah.
It's just like a picture of when people walk through this life. Some people, they really walk. They walk as in working hard to discover who they are. So some put their relevance or significance in the things that they do. So in terms of their natural work, some extend it to what they acquire. Some people acquire relationship, they acquire things. And if care is not taken, a lot of people tend to put their worth in that. So Alex was such a guy, a professional. Sharon equally was a professional. They understood work. They were building their lives individually. And then Sharon seems to be someone who is a bit ahead of Alex.
Financially.
Well, financially.
These are the questions. What she brought finances to the table.
Yeah. She seems to have a thriving career. But when the conversation began, it was Alex was trying to impress Sharon. But Sharon just asked that basic question that we're fine. You have this, yet you haven't find it a reason to
get married.
So
why are you not married?
Then in the midst of all this thing, who is Alex? It's a very basic question that I think any woman who wants to do relationship should ask.
And I agree with you. However, in these times where self-preservation is what is in front of everybody, like self-love, do me or do you, or what's the one for this year? Day for who, day for you.
Okay. Day for who, day for you. Yeah.
You know, the message of self-preservation is so rife, and self-awareness is also, one of the most important things that a person should carry into a relationship. How do we find a balance?
Okay, so the question about self-awareness is an innate question. Whether we all agree or not, there is a time of reflection for each one of us. A time where we ask ourselves the questions like, is it all that it is when it comes to work? It is all that is it when it comes to acquiring education? So there is a vacuum in every human being. They want to define meaning. What is meaning? What is success to me? How do I know I'm successful? And these are questions that people don't usually ask outside. They are innate questions. And so I think self-awareness, the balance is having to, as an individual, being able to answer that question. Who am I? Am I what I own? Am I where I live? Am I the company that I keep? Am I where I work? So we need to be able to define. It's like self-discovery, that leads to self-fulfillment, and then that leads to self-actualization. So awareness is the balance, and you do that awareness not just within you, but you do it with your, I put it straight point. with your creator.
Yeah. But
Because
yes, we're going to get there. But
yeah.
I want to, this is how you put it in Beyond Romance.
Yeah.
So many people go through life avoiding this question each time it pops up in their core.
Yeah.
And other people looking in on their lives from the outside might even be fooled into thinking that they are okay.
Yeah.
Or they have it all together. But the truth is, they may not know really who they project themselves as.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I can, you can see, they may not really be who they project themselves as. Rema, I tell you, the journey to the journey to true satisfaction in any area of life starts when you truly acknowledge who you really are. And the $1 million question today, as Sharon asked Alice, is, who are you? You said before I read that part, you said something about you can't do it alone, you have to do it with your creator.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem with that. You know that. However, we leave you lay emphasis on us going to the creator. We live in times where people are at best irreligious, at worst agnostics or atheists. So if a person picks up Beyond Romance now and they're telling you that they're atheists, they're irreligious, I know that there's a God, but let God, like every shaitan, God hold heaven, me I will hold earth, you know. What would you be saying to that person who falls into this category? What would be the takeaway of how to find themselves if they don't believe there's a higher power to submit to?
I think it's also something to that we need to consider in terms of definition. There is a difference between being religious and being spiritual. Everything answers to their source. That's the truth. Let me put that context of that place you read to me. An airline hostess is a professional. She's trained to smile at people. And whether she wants to or not, she feels like or not, she has to. That's what the job demands.
Yes.
But in an instance or in a situation where that person chose joy, that person is not thriving on happiness, which means if this passenger is nice to me, then I'll smile back at them nicely. But I choose joy. Whether you are nice or not, it's that decision to be good to people is beyond that person, is beyond feelings. So I think we can look at that from the perspective of being spiritual means there is something that comes from within us. There is a personality behind that. It's some ordinarily, maybe I don't want to smile, but because I have joy, I have something to share with people. So, whatever category people fall into, being religious simply means you're looking for something.
Please repeat that again for emphasis.
Yeah, religious people, they are not sure whether there is God. Some are sure, and if there is God, they want to look for Him. Every one of us, we are on a journey of life that leads to self-discovery, self-actualization, and self-fulfillment. And the truth is that religious people have what they are craving for is the vacuum within us. They want to feel it. Some people feel it with money. Some people feel it with possession. Some people feel it with people. So, if anyone finds themselves in those categories, so when people are around them, they are happy. When there is no one, when they are left alone, they are finding how to be happy. So, what I say to people is this. When you search, that's what religion is man searching for God. Spirituality is God having relationship with man.
So
I mean, if you are spiritual, you have attained that level where you know that you are not searching for God. God actually lives on the inside of you. You are his address, you are his emblem. So what you do is that you are reflecting his image. You are a blessing to your world. You are kind to everyone that you meet, because that's what spirituality is all about. I still don't get it when people say they are spiritual. No, they are religious and they are mean. Yeah, they exhibit wickedness. I don't get it. If you are
He said this exhibit.
Well, if you are spiritual, you know that there is a conflict. You want to be mean to people, but something within you just recognizes that, oh, this person is in the image of a higher power.
This takes us to page 38.
Wow.
Takes us to beyond romance.
Yeah.
It takes us to 38. Can I marry someone who doesn't share my faith beliefs? Shebi, when you the people that have read this review, Shebi, I told you about he didn't skirt around issues. Yeah. He talked about issues. So let's go there.
So we are already there on that page.
Yeah.
On page 38.
Yes.
It's a very straightforward question. There are choices to be made in life. A lot of people, self-awareness will help us to determine that I don't have control the day I was born. I don't have control into the family where I was born. I don't have control probably in the elementary school, the neighborhood that I lived while growing up. But once I assume adulthood, I should have control and exercise my control. And the only way we can see that is in the decisions that we make. If I am spiritual and I marry a religious person, there will be conflict. Conflict in terms of our beliefs, conflict in terms of our values. So by saying that in that page, if I'm an idol worshiper in quote, responsibility demands
that I stay with my people.
So that there is no conflict as to how to spend our money, how to raise our kids. These are decisions that we make. Once you choose relationship, what kind of a home do I want to build? So you must. It's like, this is how I put it. You are taking a flight. There is a pilot, there is a co-pilot. They are not in conflict. They are in agreement. There is a flight plan. So before they leave that point A and fly to their destination, they already agree. There is nobody says, oh, I want to turn 1 degree left, and the other person say, no, I want to turn 1 degree. It's just an accident going somewhere to happen. It's not a question of, because I know people will argue that.
Yeah.
The truth is that there is no, God has given us, human beings, the will. God himself doesn't enforce his will to us. So if I choose to marry someone, it's my will, it's my decision. And so what I'm trying to communicate in that piece, a lot of people get into marriage and they are trying to fight a battle they cannot win. That's the truth. Once there is an agreement, then you decide. And most of the things in Beyond Romance are the things that we prepare ourselves up front. A lot of people wait until they get into marriage, and there is many myths about relationship. A lot of people, for example, think that certain things will change when they marry someone. Hey, you are not God. You can't change fellow human being. All of us are work in progress, but I think we enjoy the ride better if we can see, at least to a large extent, we can believe the same thing. We have shared values, and then we have shared way of.
Can I be controversial for a moment?
Yes,
yeah,
please, and that's why we are here.
And this is, and I'm still on page 39 now. The scripture that people use when it comes to marrying people with whether with the same faith or not. Do not be unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship has righteousness with lawlessness, and what communion has light with darkness? With In my own understanding, this is about values. Like, let me stretch it a little bit with what you just said. If you attend denomination A and you want to go and marry somebody from another denomination, there's going to be conflict, isn't it?
It's not going to be conflict. Let me put it this way. So if you attend denominational A and then you're going to marry someone from B or C, the simple question. So when people say they are falling in love, I just say to myself, you better open your eyes. So I want to know what denominational A believes. I want to know if it's in tangent with what we at C believe. So once we can agree, even if there are differences, and both of us who are getting into that relationship agree that, okay, this is what you believe, this is what I believe, but since we have a common denominator, we owe our lives to God. So what does God say? That's the difference between being spiritual and being religious. Because denominational A may be religious about certain things that they teach, while C is also religious about certain things. But what is the mind of God about that subject matter? So if we can live in alignment, because at the end of the day, denominational A will not help us to run our marriage. B, C will not help. It's two people who are on the same page. There is something I say to people, is that we must live our life as spiritual people being Christocentric. What does that mean? Being Christocentric means Christ is at the center of our shared values, of our shared attitude. So if that is in place, I think we can go ahead. But hey, people have stretched it so far. Too far. Religious people will say, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. If you know the kind of freedom that God has given us, and you choose to exercise that freedom based on the principle of His word, I think you are good to go.
All right, so this takes me again. We're still on the same page, the same topic about who to marry, and this is talking about culture.
Yeah.
If you follow Sharon and Alex, Sharon is Jamaican and Alex is Nigerian.
Yeah.
That's even a stretch. And in some people might be saying, some people might say it's easy, but you see, back in November, I went to Abuja and I was with friends, and we were just talking generally. I even made an episode about it, and my friend Shitnenwa said she's from Plateau State.
Yeah.
And she said that when a mother has a child and you come to greet the child, so you're coming now. Oh, this child is ugly, has a big nose. I'm like, what? And I'm processing in my head. I'm like, I don't understand. They are calling the child ugly. And she said yes, that in her tribe, when people come to visit the child, they make such remarks to tell the evil spirit, this child is not your own. No, you can't come and see this child. This one is not fine for you to come and carry.
Oh.
Yeah. I get the general principle of that. I get the general spiritual principle of that. But imagine a Yoruba woman, or even who had just gone through the pains of birth and all that, and somebody comes from her husband's family, carries a child, and is smiling and saying, this child is ugly, oh. And I'm like, wow. And I'm still processing it in my head. Guess what? Then she talks about her dad. That our dad did not and does not allow backhanded compliment in his house. And I said, you know what? Your father stepped outside tradition, and took the place of a prophet over your life. The culture might have started as with good intent. But I'm a Yoruba girl. So culture, the place of culture. Because again, page 39. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Page 39 going on, page 40 actually, it says some individuals cannot handle the culture shock that may come with getting married from and into a different culture from theirs, while some others do easily connect to thrive. Some families actually refuse to give the intending couple their blessings when they are of different cultural background, while some others take their time before offering the required support, while some others treat such decision as a non-issue. Of course, there's no straight jargeted way. The way you round this off in knowing who to marry, just the third chapter here, is in summary. Every intended couple should be accountable to their connected ties in their relationship. What does that mean?
Okay, so you talk about culture. What is culture? It's mindset that has informed largely the way people live their lives. So let me say something very funny to you now. Before I got married, I was hoping, I actually wanted to marry someone. At that time, I've never been to East Africa. So I just studied the culture of East African. So I was hoping to get married to someone from Kenya, someone from Zimbabwe, all those places.
Really?
Yeah, I love women with
forehead. Okay.
So,
now I understand. PFD. Now I understand. Go ahead.
So that's what I like in the natural. So I took my time to study the way of life of such people, and I didn't want so much family ties. I want to live my life. I want to be able to make my decisions and all that. So I realized that once they get married, you are released to go live with your husband. So I was ready for that kind of life. So what am I saying here? People underestimate what it takes to get married. There are a whole lot of preparations. And I was doing something at that time, so I would jokingly ask my parents, because I know that they're going to be stakeholders and all that. What if I bring someone that you don't understand their language and all that? And I know that's why it's okay. My sisters will disagree that as long as she's ready to be part of our family. So what am I saying? We all underestimate what it takes. A lot of people wait till the last minute to see, and that's where the things you read earlier on comes in. A lot of people don't know. Even in our own culture here in Nigeria, people underestimate what it takes. So I was saying that if I don't get married to someone from East Africa, I'll marry a northerner. And also of Fulani. You see, we all have preferences and all that. So that was my decision. So as they say, as fate will have it, and I think this
and PFD looks like she's a northerner actually.
Yeah. So as fate will have it, I met PFD. So as fate will have it, we started talking, and I realized that the things that I really like, that I was looking at in all that culture
was inside your shokoto.
Yeah, was there. So, but I'm saying that, in essence, I'm just saying that people, in fact, there are some relationships that we probably not see the light of the day if people learn to ask the basic questions. What is in your... So I wonder these days, like you said, what people are looking at when they say they are going out. Where are you going to? What are you talking about? So you need to have resolved, just like Alex and Sharon will answer those practical questions within themselves before they make that their relationship come into the open. So culture, we underestimated it. We usually underestimate it, the role it plays in relationship. And I think what we need to do, which we are preaching to people now, is that we should all become global citizens. In other words, whether you are a Chinese, you can marry a Nigerian can marry someone from Russia, from Somalia, and all that. So I think people just underestimate those things. Don't get into very serious relationship before you answer those questions. Once you have spotted who you want to marry, start asking basic questions about their culture. Get back home, ask your own people, so that by the time you are coming, you are introducing him or her, you would have crossed certain barriers, and you would have prepared their minds. Understand what I mean, in certain culture, let me just put this out. In certain culture, you said something about in that particular culture where people come and bring the new child. In certain culture, maybe in those riverine areas, when kids are born, they throw them into the water. To test.
I will drag.
So I'm sure that
after 40 hours of labor, you cannot.
So that's exactly what I'm about to just point out. As a mother who is just have a newly born child can't watch his or
It is not going to happen.
So, but that's the reality
of the culture.
Because that's the way. That's how powerful the culture is. That's the way the mother was trained. That's the way probably the father was. So it was like a common thing. This is like a testing. This is like a litmus test, whether this is a true son or daughter of this family. So you can't underestimate that culture. And of course, certain people, what they regard as respect. So these are questions. When two people are in a relationship, they should start asking themselves, what is respect to you? What is respect in your culture? What is, how do you quantify these? I mean, there are many questions about the way we all live our lives. So culture determines that way we live our lives.
Okay, so before we move on towards, because I want to, if we don't talk about anything again today, I want us to be able to talk about friendship, dating, and courtship. These terms have caused wahala, and they're still causing wahala, you know. But I hear these days, and this might be even outside beyond romance, but it's not. Maybe it's going to be in the second book.
There is a book beyond dating.
Beyond dating.
Yeah.
I hear these days, especially from married people who are going through challenges, and I read it online, and my heart literally beats out. I hear people say things like, I think I picked the wrong father for my children. I picked the wrong mother for my children. And of course, because my mental space always is what is going through the minds of these people, what could have happened. In your expert opinion as a counselor, before we get back to dating, courtship, and all that, what is the effect of such statements on the minds of these partners?
Well, I think self-awareness is the number one thing about that's where I love where we started from. So a lot of people, by the time they were picking their partners, they were not adequately informed about what it takes to choose someone for marriage. However, in picking, they realize, and that's the reality of life. Sometimes you realize that, okay, maybe I made a mistake, but hey, you can't beat yourself with bat on the head. Mistakes is part of life. But the way I like to say to people is that, so use what you have to fashion what you want to see. So if the two people who are involved in that relationship are willing to grow, they can change their mindset, they can change things that they are holding on to. In fact, there is no way you can have a thriving marriage if you are not ready to give up, to take on.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
Please repeat that.
You cannot have a thriving marriage if you are not ready to
Give up and take on.
and take on. So it means, okay, now I realize that maybe I made, I have a discolored judgment in my choice, but who is this person? And usually, what you find with people in relationship, we are not all that bad on scale 1 to 10. Every human being, we have their area that they are good, that they are. So why not focus on that good part, have a discussion, and then grow together? Because that's the whole essence of this marriage thing. Two people who don't know who they are, they started living together, shared life, and they are growing together. And it takes a whole lot of mutual love and understanding.
See how Spade is making it sound like work in the park. You and I, yeah, I know.
Yeah, but you know that's another thing. To Michi, a lot of people think marriage is work. Marriage is work.
Hard work.
You have to give up to take on. Marriage is like a garden. It's if you go to the farm and farm, there is but if you keep a garden, it takes a lot to keep a garden. So
all right,
marriage is work.
So for those who are wondering what we're talking about right now and how does this affect your mental well-being, since this is mindful to me, because if you're mindful with and in your relationships, the tendency for you to have less mental struggle and then be there for yourself and your family is high. And that's why you should read Beyond Romance, especially for those of you who are just starting. Some of us like this, we have become a jagbigbe. And I started with a story that I shared with that the conversation him and I had some 2000, there's some 25 years ago now.
That's
Yes, 25 years ago, because I was so sure at the time that I was not going to get married, but I was going to have children anyway. And I looked into the eyes like, hey, this sister of God, this is a sister of God who comes to church, conducts, and all of that. And of course, he knew a bit of my story at the time, and he understood why I was saying marriage, but children, yes. But how do we burst this and find healing on the way to being? Because once you decide to have a relationship, especially romantic relationship, is for life. Whether you are heartbroken or you are hard living, it's for life. Because a choice to love is actually a choice to hurt. Alright? So, dating, friendship, courtship, help our government, because this thing. Because I'm not even kidding, PD. I go online. I'm like, okay, if I was, I've been dating this. I'm still dating my husband for 20 something years.
That's something that a lot of people still need to understand, that even while you're married, you're still dating.
Because if I'm dating this in these times, the dragging that so help us understand these terms as from according to the gospel of Beyond Romance.
So this is if we can resolve this together. I think generally, because I know that the dynamic of things are different. Things are not, the social network, the means of the platform for social network now is different from the way we used to see it. But I think for me, from my own little mind to provide this solution, and I think we need to change the definition of friendship. Yeah, I think that's where the problem is. People don't understand what quality friendship is all about anymore. I said to people, okay, like yesterday, I still resolved something for someone. She was asking me, I think I posted something, so she was reacting to it by saying, there are no good men out there anymore. I said, no, there are still good men out there. He said, I said, how do you mean? What do you mean? What's happening? She said, okay, there's this guy that she met and they only dated for 1 week. And the truth was that after 1 week, the guy wanted sex and she said no. And the guy broke up and then got another girlfriend the following week. So so I told her that, see, and he said that that's not the first time, that's not the second time. I said, people don't understand what true friendship is all about. I remember I used to have female friends, and it's just good quality friendship. And I still keep some of them. My wife knows them. It's not sensual. It's just good quality friendship. If people don't understand these days, if they see myself and Tumiche somewhere, an average person with the way their mind has been wired is that something must be going on.
Yeah.
See myself, Tumiche, having lunch somewhere, something must be going on. It's not like that. I remember I used to have these friends, about 4 of us. We travel with our friends who are female. They take a room, we take a room, and there is nothing. We just explore places together. And we come back. All of us are married to different people today, and we are still friends. So, coming to dating, is it friendship, dating, and courtship?
Friendship, dating, courtship.
So, I think that's why I just categorize it that way. It's likely that most people will marry from their circle of influence.
Yeah.
In other words, it may be your colleagues, your friends of friends, the people you live in community together, family, friends, people you went to school together. If you want to get married, like for this year, your husband or your wife is not just going to be created. Maybe about 3% of people will meet someone who is like they are meeting for the very first time. Whichever way we get into, let us all learn to develop quality friendship. In other words, I just want to be of help to this person. I want to add value. So from that quality friendship, a lot of people have seen, oh, I love this guy, he's kind. Or I love her, the way and this. And then from there, they take it further. And that's when, so it's not more good morning, good afternoon. So it's like you just want to know what is this person, who is this person is. And I know that too quick, if you're asking somebody about their family, about their wealth, about everything within 2 weeks, you know that probably that is not going to work. So friendship, what it does is that it settles the individuals with confidence that this guy is not here to take from me, or this lady is not here to take from me. Those are the things that are missing in the equation. Most of the people I deal with now, it's the focus is not on that value, is what they want to take from each other. And I've been in spaces where people say, it's very interesting. I was in a space one day, and it really surprised me. I was shocked. I thought that it was the men who want to take from the women, and a lady got up and said, "No, we are taking from each other. There is nobody who is heartbroken. You use me, I use you. God no vex." So I was saying to myself, a man is supposed to protect a woman, not to take from them that way. So I think that definition of friendship, we need to redefine it. And if you find someone out of your friends that you feel that you can share your life with, move it to dating. You know them, not their bodies. Because most of you can know someone without knowing their
bodies. So I can't remember who. I think Jackie Hill Perry was the person I was listening to, and this kind of question came up, and she said, and I agree, that we have sexualized almost all kinds of relationship.
Yeah.
And there are people. I remember I said to someone that one of my closest friends is a guy, and my friend said, "Eh."
People these days don't understand
And
that.
and my friend said, "Eh, Tumisha, you have a male close friend,
Yeah.
and Bumi knows." I said, "Yeah,
Yeah.
Bumi knows."
Yeah.
And in fact, when I had not seen this friend in 15 years, in fact, it was the one that was on podcast last week. I had not seen him for about 15 years, and when we saw, we hugged for so long. And Bumi said, when hotel lobby, and Bumi said, "Get these guys a room. They've not seen themselves in 15 years," and people, I could literally see ladies go like, "Okay."
But you know that is emotional maturity.
Yeah.
So a lot of people also miss that out in their relationship. That's why I said dating your husband is still something, dating your wife is still something. A lot of people, all they think about when they meet the opposite sex is sex. So it's beyond that. Quality relationship, quality values, adding to each other. I think that's the main goal of every friendship. I say to a lot of people who are prospecting to have a relationship, the way a man is wired, and this is the honest truth. Once a man can take advantage, well, maybe not advantage because somebody says we are taking advantage of each other, but once a man can have a sex with a woman, it's rare for them to, if there are no commitment, sense of commitment before in that relationship, the commitment that is attached to that relationship begin to wane. And the lady, the way they are wired, they think that more sex will make them be acceptable to a guy. A guy is just like a hunter, someone who is a real skillful hunter, and he just pick his gun, and behind his house he has a wild animal, and he just, I mean, the satisfaction to eat that meat is not as will be as him
Going to hunt for it. This is a good place to hang the first part of this conversation, Beyond Romance, with Ayo Daniels. The next episode, I'm going to start but yeah, next week. Stay tuned. All right, this is just. But before we round this episode up, I have a question for you. Well, a couple of questions, just to round this off, and then we'll get back. If you could have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive, who would they be, and why?
Paul.
Why Paul?
Why Paul? Because I want to understand how a mortal man can write 3/4 of the whole New Testament.
Okay, the second person, dead or alive.
Dead or alive. I want to sit with Whitney Houston. And because I want to learn from her. I mean, what happened? How do you walk through success? How do you manage it? Because most of the times is not when we are craving for success, prominence. We are all hungry. Once we get it, I want to ask her what happened. So I want to learn from her. And then maybe the third person, Bob Marley.
I was waiting for that. I actually was thinking it was going to be Bob Marley first.
So I want to understand how do you, maybe if you extend it, maybe Fela also. I want to understand how music, I mean, it's not like these days that maybe some of us, it may not be everybody. Some of the songs that wins award this day, I don't even hear what they are singing. So I'm sorry. I don't think I'm that old. So I want to understand from Bob Marley, Fela, how do you develop yourself to produce music with a message? So those are the 3 or 4 people I like to have dinner. Just have conversations. I can just put my food on the table and just be listening to them.
A good way to round up this episode. When we come back next week, we will be looking at cultural differences, sex before marriage, the marriage gungan, and all of that. Love yourself, love your family, love your country. Above all of this, love God. He's the essence of your being.